Yo, what's going on, guys? I thought I would come back on here and bless you guys with some more incredible slop, some more shleem, since I haven't posted in a couple days. Today I wanted to talk a little bit more about Devil May Cry 6 and kind of get to the bottom of what we're most likely going to get for the next Devil May Cry game. Some people have been saying that the next game is going to be a Devil May Cry 3 remake. People have been saying we're going to get a Devil May Cry 1 remake. And some people think we're going to get a Devil May Cry 6. So there's kind of like three options we're looking at here of what we could be getting, since we're basically positive that we're going to be getting another Devil May Cry game announced like maybe the end of this year or next year, I would say. Since there is a lot of hype for the series right now because of the new anime dropping, and it seems like that's just in preparation for a new game, you know, that's going to be coming out as well. So, you know, I'm going to give you guys the rundown on how likely I am that we're going to get each of these three options, and then at the end of the video tell you the one that I think is going to be the most likely. But first, follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. I'll leave a link to both of them in the pinned comment. So the first thing I want to talk about is the possibility of a Devil May Cry 1 remake. I think we're more likely to get a DMC 1 or DMC 3 remake because of this one slip up from Dan Southworth, who's the voice actor for Virgil, that I discovered a few weeks back. In the clip, he was basically in an interview and he was asked a question about voice acting or something like that, and he responded by saying that he was recently asked to do a younger Virgil voice for a game.
You know, we did Devil May Cry 5 15 years later, and I had changed, and I just went with what I was. And thankfully, they had made the characters older, so it sort of fit. It could fit any changes that would have happened naturally with my voice, because I, over the years, have changed the way I use my voice, and it's not. In fact, I just finished a video game 2 weeks ago, or actually 3 or 4 weeks ago. They hired me to play this character. I don't want to say any titles or anything because I'm known for my spilling the beans.
Uh-oh.
But they asked me to do my voice the way it was back in 2004 or whatever. Can you do the younger Virgil version? And so that was challenging. I had to kind of find where my younger voice was, and I had to just sort of keep playing until I got to this place where my voice sounded really sort of had this boyish kind of tone, and it was really tough because it would start to sink into this. It would get into this, and they go, "That's a little bit. You're getting a little bit, you know." So anyway.
So the first thing that would come to mind when trying to, you know, figure out what game he's actually talking about is Devil May Cry 3, like a Devil May Cry 3 remake. They asked for him to do his voice the way it was in that game because they're making a remake of that game. That's like the most obvious one. But this could also apply to DMC 1 and DMC 6, because in those games, maybe Dante has some type of flashback and remembers Virgil and remembers like him and Virgil playing or fighting when they were kids. And that's why Dan would need to do a younger Virgil voice. But I'd still say this most likely points towards a DMC 3 remake. Another reason I'm kind of leaning more towards us getting a remake of an older Devil May Cry game instead of a Devil May Cry 6 is because Capcom really likes to make remakes of their games. Like, I can't even tell you how many Resident Evil... Wait, actually I can. They did Resident Evil 1 remake, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, so they did 4 remakes. So needless to say, they love making remakes. I personally think that we're more likely to get a Devil May Cry 1 remake than a Devil May Cry 3 one, just simply because DMC 1 is the first game in the series. And I don't think they would just jump right into making a remake of the third game. Just like how they remade all of the Resident Evil games in order. They didn't just jump straight to remaking Resident Evil 4. They did it in order. They did 1, 2, 3, you know, and then they did 4. So just simply for that reason, I don't think Capcom would rush right into making a Devil May Cry 3 remake first. I think they would make a, you know, Devil May Cry 1 remake. It would just, you know, simply just be called Devil May Cry. Plus, I could be wrong about this, but I think more people would buy a Devil May Cry 1 remake than a DMC 3 one, simply for the fact that it's the first game in the series. I think if they just started with a DMC 3 remake, more people would feel like they, like, you know, have to play another game before it, and it would kind of like scare new people from buying the game. if that, you know, makes any sense. But I don't really know anything about like marketing video games. I could be completely wrong about that. That's just like what I personally think. Some more credit towards there being a DMC1 remake next is Kamiya, the creator of Devil May Cry, said that he would love to make a remake of DMC1, but I don't think this is more because like he, you know, specifically wants to make this game. It's kind of because DMC1 is the only Devil May Cry game he worked on. So, you know, obviously he would want to make a remake of it instead of a, you know, a remake of 3 or a Devil May Cry 6. DMC1 is the one that he's most familiar with. So of course that would be the, you know, DMC game that he would want to try to create. But, you know, more credit towards DMC1 coming next. As far as a Devil May Cry 6, this is the one that I want the most. Obviously, I think this is the one that a lot of people want the most. DMC 6, you know, just get to see the story continue. I have no idea how a game like this would look. Maybe it would just be a standalone Nero game. Maybe, you know, you get what I want, you know, playing as Dante and Virgil in Hell. That would just be incredible. That would just be like the greatest game of all time. I made a video about my pitch for Devil May Cry 6, like what I would want to see happen in the next game, like what I would want the gameplay to be like. I'll link that video in the description if you want to go check it out. It's just basically, you know, my opinions and my pitch for basically the entire game and like what I would want it to look like and what I would want it to be. So obviously DMC 6 would be, you know, like my favorite thing of like what I would want. But unfortunately, I think that this is just the least likely. Itsuno, who directed DMC 2 through 5, left Capcom a bit ago to kind of do his own thing and work on Dragon's Dogma 2. And without him, I just don't really see DMC 6 becoming a thing for a very long time. With Itsuno leaving, the chances for getting a DMC 6 went down like really, really drastically. And I feel like before a DMC 6 is created without Itsuno, who basically just completely led Devil May Cry for the last like 15 plus years, they would try to make a remake first. Whether that's a DMC 1 or DMC 3 remake to, you know, kind of learn how to make one of these games. You know, the groundwork is already there. They don't have to worry about the story or the narrative of the game or anything like that. It's all already just laid out for them. All they have to do is just kind of go back and then, you know, just update the combat and just make it a lot more modern. That's it. So, you know, DMC 6 is what I want. It's what most people want, I think. But unfortunately, I think that's the least likely thing that we're going to get. So yeah, in conclusion, my money is on a DMC 1 remake. I just think that's just the most likely thing we're going to get. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get that game announced either at the end of this year or maybe next year. I'd assume it's, you know, maybe in early or mid development right now. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. I thought I'd make this video and kind of talk about this because I saw a lot of people kind of discussing and like nearly arguing about it on Twitter, which DMC we're going to get next. So, you know, I just wanted to make this video and kind of, you know, insert my 2 cents into it and tell you guys what I think about it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks to all the channel members. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.